I look at my bank account every single day.
Sometimes twice.
Sometimes 3 times.
And I haven't been broke in years. That's not a flex, that's a confession. Because the only reason I still check, the only reason I can't stop checking, is because I remember what it felt like when I couldn't. When opening the app was something I did with my eyes half closed, like ripping off a bandage. When I'd scroll past the number as fast as possible and just look at available balance and pray it was enough.
I don't check because I need to. I check because I'm still scared.
And that's the thing nobody tells you about money. The number changes, the feeling doesn't. Unless you hit one specific threshold, and most people never do, not because they can't earn it, because they quit right before everything actually shifts. I'm Jordan, and I've been sitting on something that's been bothering me for years. Here is Chapter 1: The Invisible Threshold. Most finance content treats money like a straight line. That's the first problem. They show you these graphs where the line goes up and to the right. $10,000 feels twice as good as $5,000. $100,000 should feel 10 times better than $10,000. That's just math, right? But that's not how money actually works inside your head. I keep coming back to something I noticed about 3 years ago. I had saved up maybe $15,000. Took me almost 2 years. I was proud. I remember looking at the account balance and thinking, okay, I did it. I'm safe now. Then my car needed new tires. $800. Fine, that's what the money is for. Then my water heater died. $1,200. Annoying, but okay. Then my dog, my actual dog, needed emergency surgery. $3,400. And just like that, inside of 6 weeks, I was back to checking my account before buying groceries. Back to that little knot in my stomach when I opened the banking app. Back to calculating whether I could afford to go to dinner with friends. Not broke, not in debt, but that feeling came back. That tightness in your chest when you swipe your card and wait to see if it works. That's the thing about small emergency funds. They don't actually fix the problem. They just make the treadmill slightly less exhausting. You're still on the treadmill. You're just running slightly slower. Here's my opinion, and I'm just going to say it straight. Most of the advice about hitting financial milestones is wrong. Not inaccurate, wrong. They tell you to save 3 to 6 months of expenses. That's the standard line. Every personal finance guru says it, 3 to 6 months. And if you do that, you're responsible, you're safe. No, you're not. 3 months of expenses for the average person is what, $10,000, $12,000? $15,000 if you're careful? That's not safety. That's a speed bump. That's enough to handle one emergency, maybe 2 small ones. But life doesn't send emergencies one at a time. Life sends them in waves. The advice is wrong because it's based on a world where only one thing goes wrong at once, and that's not the world any of us live in. Chapter 2: The Gap Nobody Talks About. I have a friend, let's call him Marcus, makes $85,000 a year, has maybe $8,000 saved. He told me recently he feels like he's basically there financially, like he's close to being secure.
He's not close.
And that sounds harsh, I know it does. But here's the truth. The gap between $8,000 and $100,000 isn't just math. It's not like driving from one city to another where the only difference is time. It's a completely different way of living, a different relationship with money, a different person entirely. Wait, actually, no. Let me rephrase that. I said it's a different person. That's not quite right. It's not that you wake up one day and you're someone else. It's that you can't get from $8,000 to $100,000 without becoming someone who doesn't feel broke anymore. The process changes you. The discipline changes you. The hundreds of times you say no to things you want, that changes you. Marcus is still one emergency away from that tight chest feeling. One car repair, one medical bill, one unexpected anything, and he has no idea. He thinks he's safe because he has $8,000.
$8,000 disappears in a weekend if things go wrong. A Friday afternoon emergency, and by Monday morning, it's gone.
You know what's funny? Not ha-ha funny. Weird funny.
I once calculated exactly how much money I'd wasted on subscriptions I forgot about. I sat down, went through my credit card statements from the last year. $47 a month. $564 a year. I sat with that for a second. That's like 2 rounds of drinks I never had, a plane ticket I never bought. Just gone. Poof. Auto-drafted into nothing. But that's not the point. The point is the subscriptions weren't the problem. The problem was I wasn't paying attention. Because paying attention hurt. Because looking at the numbers meant admitting I wasn't where I wanted to be. So I just didn't look. That's the quiet sabotage. Not the big purchases, the small avoidances. Day after day, month after month. Chapter 3. What $100,000 actually buys. Let me tell you what that number really buys. Because I think most people get this wrong. It's not a car, it's not a down payment on a house, it's not even freedom, not yet, not completely. It buys you the ability to have multiple emergencies happen at the same time without your life falling apart. Think about that for a second. Really think about it. Right now, for most people, one emergency is a crisis. 2 emergencies at the same time is a catastrophe. 3, you're calling family members. You're opening a new credit card. You're doing things you told yourself you'd never do again. Your car breaks. Your laptop dies. Your kid needs braces. Your landlord raises rent. Pick any 3. Small emergency fund, $10,000 or $15,000, you're wiped out. Back to zero. Back to the beginning. Back to that feeling of starting over again while everyone else seems to be moving forward. $100,000? Your car needs $3,000 in repairs. Annoying. Laptop dies. Frustrating. You're still at $95,000. You didn't even feel it. That's not math. That's psychology. That's the difference between an expense being a catastrophe and an expense being an inconvenience. When every unexpected cost takes 3% of your savings instead of 30%, your brain stops sounding the alarm. The amygdala stops firing. You stop lying awake at night running calculations. You stop opening the banking app 3 times a day just to make sure nothing's changed. You stop saying, "I can't afford that" in that panicked voice, and start saying, "I don't want to spend that right now," in a normal one. Different sentence. Different life. Different person. The middle, where you have to choose. So here's where you have to choose. And I need you to actually answer this. Not for me, for you. Are you someone who already knows this but doesn't do anything about it? Or are you someone who genuinely hasn't seen this before? Because those are 2 completely different problems. If you already know, if you've heard all this before, if you understand the math, if you've read the books and watched the videos, then your problem isn't information. It's something else. It's follow-through. It's discipline. It's the gap between knowing and doing. And I can't fix that for you. Nobody can. That's yours. But if you genuinely haven't seen this before, if nobody ever explained why small emergency funds don't work, if you've been following the standard advice and wondering why you still feel anxious, then that's different. That's just missing information, and I can help with that. One is about will. The other is about awareness. So, honestly, which one are you? Drop a number in the comments.
Just 1, if you know but don't act. 2, if this is genuinely new to you. I read them. Not all of them. There's only one of me, and there are a lot of you. But I read enough. I spend about 20 minutes before every video just going through comments from the last one. I notice patterns. I see who's actually here and who's just scrolling past.
I'll be looking for your number. Chapter 4. The Cognitive Tax Nobody Talks About.
Here's something I learned the hard way. Being broke is expensive. Not just the late fees, not just the interest, the mental energy. I used to spend, and I'm not exaggerating, probably 2 hours a day just thinking about money. Not managing it, not investing it, not planning with it.
Worrying about it, calculating it in my head, avoiding looking at it, opening the app, closing the app because I was too anxious, opening it again 5 minutes later, running the same numbers again, coming to the same conclusion again, feeling the same dread again.
That's not living. That's surviving. And it's exhausting.
There's actual research on this. They call it the scarcity mindset. Psychologists at Princeton and Harvard studied it. They found that financial stress literally reduces your effective IQ. Not permanently, thank God, but in the moment. While you're worried about money, you're measurably dumber. You make worse decisions. You're less creative. You miss obvious opportunities. Your brain has a finite amount of processing power. And when a huge chunk of it is dedicated to financial anxiety, to running those calculations, to replaying that purchase you regret, to dreading that bill that's coming, you have less left for everything else. You make worse decisions at work. You're snappier with your partner. You're less patient with your kids. You miss opportunities because you're too mentally drained to notice them. They call it scarcity. I call it exhausting. And here's what changes when you cross that threshold. That background noise, that constant low-level hum of financial anxiety, it just stops. Not all at once. It fades slowly. You stop checking your balance before buying coffee one day and you don't even notice you've stopped. You stop running mental math in the grocery store. You stop lying awake at 3 a.m. wondering what would happen if your car broke down.
One day you realize you haven't opened your banking app in a week.
Then 2 weeks. Then 3. Your brain gets to focus on things that actually matter. Your work, your relationships, your hobbies. Anything other than a constant low-grade terror of not having enough. That alone, just the mental space, is worth more than any purchase you could make with that money. Chapter 5. What actually happened to me. Let me tell you what happened when I crossed that line. Because I think movies and social media have ruined our expectations for what milestones feel like. There was no music, no confetti, no moment of euphoria. I looked at my account one Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting at my kitchen table. I think I was eating a sandwich, nothing special. And I noticed something.
I hadn't checked my balance in 3 weeks. 3 weeks? I couldn't remember the last time that had happened. Not since I was 16 years old and my parents still paid for everything. Probably not even then.
I just sat there for a minute, sandwich in one hand, phone in the other, and I realized I wasn't worried about anything money-related. Not the car, not the apartment, not some surprise expense I hadn't thought of. Just quiet. That's what the money buys you. Not stuff, not status, not the ability to impress people at dinner parties. Room to breathe. Here's the part that surprised me, though, and I think about this a lot. I'd spent years thinking that hitting that number would make me feel rich. That's what I was chasing, that feeling. The feeling of, I made it. It didn't happen. I didn't feel rich. I still don't. I drive an old car. I shop at the same grocery store. I still think twice before buying something expensive. But I stopped feeling broke. And that's a completely different thing. Actually, let me correct myself. I said I stopped feeling broke. That's not quite accurate either. Let me be more honest. What I should say is, The baseline shifted. The floor moved up. I still worry about money sometimes, still get anxious about big purchases, still second-guess myself, still have moments where I think, should I really be spending this? But that constant low-level hum of financial anxiety, the one that's always there in the background, like the sound of a refrigerator that you don't notice until it stops. It stopped. And I didn't even realize it was gone until I looked up one day and noticed the silence. Chapter 6. The Second Engine. Here's something I wish someone had told me earlier, something that would have changed everything if I'd understood it at 25 instead of 35. When you have that much money invested, properly invested, not sitting in a savings account earning nothing, your money starts working. Not hard, not like a second job, but working. 10% returns on $5,000 is $500. That's nice. You can buy something, a nice dinner, a weekend trip, whatever. 10% returns on $100,000 is $10,000. That's not nice, that's significant. That's a second income stream, a small one, but real. Real enough that you notice it, real enough that it changes your calculations. And once you see your money make money without you doing anything, once you check your account and there's just more there than you put in, that changes you. Because now you're not the only engine powering your financial life. Your savings are working too. The year after that, you're earning returns on $110,000, then $121,000. It snowballs. Slowly at first, then not slowly at all. I remember doing that math for the first time. I had a spreadsheet open. I was just playing around with numbers, and I realized that if I kept doing what I was doing, in 10 years, the returns alone would be more than I was saving from my paycheck. I just sat there. I'd spent 15 years trading my time for money, trading hours of my life for dollars, and suddenly, a chunk of money was just showing up while I slept, while I ate dinner, while I did anything else. That's when I realized I'd been thinking about this whole thing backwards. I'd been focused on earning more, working more, grinding more. But the real shift happens when you stop being the only one working. Chapter 7. Where most people quit. Remember that question from the beginning, the one I told you to hold in your head, about why most people never get here? Here's the honest answer, and I mean brutally honest. Most people don't reach that number because they quit in the middle. Not because it's impossible, not because they don't earn enough, not because the math doesn't work, because it's boring. Getting from 10,000 to 50,000 is tedious. You're not poor anymore, that's real progress, but you're not rich. You're not even close. You're just in the middle, waiting, saying no to things, watching your friends take vacations you can't afford, driving the old car when you could technically afford a new one, living below your means when you're exhausted from living below your means. That's where people quit. Not at the beginning, when it's exciting. Not at the end, when they can see the finish line. In the middle. In the long, gray, boring middle where nothing exciting happens and the numbers move slowly and every month feels exactly like the last month. I almost quit too, right around $40,000. I remember sitting in my car after work, just sitting there, engine off, thinking, what's the point? I'm still not there. I'm still not free. I'm still driving the same car and living in the same apartment and saying no to the same things. This is taking forever. I was this close to just giving up, buying the car, taking the trip, saying screw it and enjoying my money for once. But here's what I didn't see then. What I couldn't see from inside the boring middle. The person who gets to that number isn't special.
They're not smarter. They're not luckier. They're not secretly rich. They're just the person who didn't quit at $40,000. That's it. That's the whole secret. Don't quit in the boring middle. Chapter 8. The identity shift you can't fake.
Here's my second opinion for this video, and I mean this completely. This isn't performance. This isn't YouTube advice. This is what I actually believe. The goal isn't the number. The goal is becoming someone who has that number.
Because once you become that person, the one who saves consistently, automatically, without thinking about it, the one who avoids lifestyle inflation even when everyone around them is upgrading, the one who invests every month regardless of what the market is doing, the one who says no when it's hard, when it hurts, when everyone else is saying yes.
Once you become that person, you'll never go back. Even if you spend some of the money, even if you have setbacks, even if life happens and you have to start over, you've internalized something. You've learned something that can't be taken away. You've learned that you can delay gratification, that you can stick with something for years, that you can be uncomfortable and keep going anyway. That person doesn't feel broke, not because of the money in the account, because of who they had to become to put it there.
You know what's weird? I have a friend, makes $200,000 a year. $200,000. He's more stressed about money than I ever was at $40,000 because he spends every dollar, every single one. Nice apartment, nice car, nice dinners, nice vacations. He looks rich. He feels broke. He's rich on paper, high income, great job, but he's still broke where it counts. Still one missed paycheck away from panic. Still can't sleep some nights. That's not a flex. That's just sad. And it taught me something. The number doesn't matter if you are the person who can't keep it. The number doesn't matter if you spend it as fast as it comes in. The goal isn't to earn more. The goal is to keep more. The question I keep coming back to, not for the video, not for the algorithm, for you, personally. What would it feel like to wake up and not think about money for a whole week? Not for the rest of your life, not forever, just 1 week. What would you do with that mental space? What would you think about instead? What would you notice? What would you create? Who would you be? Don't answer that here, not in the comments, not from me. Answer it somewhere else. Your notes app, a voice memo on your phone, a journal if you keep one. Just answer it for yourself, because that feeling, that's what you're actually chasing. Not the number, not the status, not the security. Just a week of quiet. You're not someone trying to save money. That's not who you are. You're not someone who wants to be better with finances. That's too vague. Here's who you are if you decide to be. You're someone who has decided that the person you're becoming doesn't feel broke anymore. That's different from trying. That's different from wanting. That's a choice you make before you see the result. That's an identity you step into while you're still in the boring middle, while the number is still small, while everyone else seems to be moving faster than you. You decide who you are. Then you act like that person. Then eventually, the numbers catch up. Drop the number 100 in the comments if you're starting today. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when you get paid next. Today. Right now, before you close this video. I'll find you in there. I read them. I reply to some of them. I notice the ones who actually show up. Drop the number. Tell me you're starting. If this landed the way I think it landed, if something in here hits you somewhere real, subscribe. Not because I asked. Not because you're supposed to. Because you don't want to forget what this felt like. Because you want the next one to find you. Because you're becoming someone who doesn't quit in the boring middle. Oh, and I've been sitting on something for a while. Something I don't talk about much. The next video is about the window that closes before your 30th birthday. Not a threat, not a scare tactic, just a pattern I've noticed. Things you can do in your 20s
that you literally cannot do in your 30s. Not harder, not more difficult. Cannot.
I think you'll want to see it before it's too late for you. Goodbye.
All right, here's what I want you to do.
Go look at your bank account right now while the video is still playing, while it's still uncomfortable, while it still means something. Don't close the app. Don't look away. Just look at the number. That's where it starts. Not when you have more, not when things get easier. Right now, with whatever is there.
I'll see you in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.